So yesterday we were doing database operations. We finished on this topic. One point I wanted to make a correction over here. I mentioned that execution of stored procedures are done using the keyword exec, then space, and the name of stored procedure, space, then if it has parameters, then parameter 1, semicolon, and parameter 2. One correction here is instead of semicolon, it takes comma. So you can separate parameters with comma. That's what I wanted to mention. Clear with this? This should be a comma. Okay, fine. So moving on from database operations, today we are going to look at Windows automation operations. Under Windows automation, we will see launching a Windows application. If you remember in the calculator Windows desktop type of application, we were keeping our calculator window open in the background and then working on it. Today we will see how to launch it from scratch. Then reading related operations, writing related operations. What all we did related to reading and writing were using the recorder, but in certain automation scenarios you are going to come across and you will see that the recorder might not work in all cases, and in those cases you will have to use the pre-built actions that are available in pad for Windows automation and subsequently for web application also. So let's look at the Windows automation part. So at first I'll show you the Windows application that I'm going to interact with. It's called as Contoso Invoicing. This is the shortcut of it. This is a desktop application, a demo application given by Microsoft. I have put the executable and the MSI installer as a zip file in the exercises folder on Google Drive. You have to install it from there to access this. So what this does is you can go ahead and add values to the text boxes, click on save, create new record. All of these we'll be doing in our session today. So this is the look and feel of the application. So let's go to our pad flow. This is a new flow called as Mod 6 desktop and web applications. So to launch any Windows application, you need to use the run application action. As I hover my mouse over it, it shows executes an application or opens a document. Even you can give documents as a full path. Let me drag it, and the path that we are going to talk about here is the one for the Windows desktop application that I just showed. That is the Contoso application from Microsoft. Now for default applications like calculator, if I use the start and run menu, I type calc over here and type enter, it opens the calculator, because these are shortcut commands given by Microsoft pre-built in the Windows operating system. Likewise, if I do a start run and type in notepad, it will open up the notepad. Okay, so the point I wanted to make is for those pre-built type of shortcuts, you can simply write here calc or notepad. It will directly open those applications. Whereas in this case, in our Contoso application, you need to find out where this executable of this particular application is installed. Once you run the installer that I have given, the application will get installed typically in the C: program files or wherever the program files is pointing to. And the exe that you should be looking for is this on your machine. This is the exe of that application, legacy invoicing app.exe. So what I have done is I have set this exe as a path over here and given it as a sensitive variable, just to remind you that we have a sensitive type of feature also spoken when we took the variables related class. So just so that the path of the executable is not visible, I have given it as a path in Contoso path variable. So that is the variable that I'm going to take here. You can even browse through the folder dialog box, file dialog box. So our variable that we are talking about is Contoso path. No need to put any arguments. If you want the window style maximized, you can use this. This is one another important feature. After the launch of the application, should your flow continue immediately, or should it wait for the application to load, or if it's doing some processing, should it wait for the application to complete, and so on. Right now the speed is fine. I'll keep it as continue immediately, but depending on the flow that you are building, you can change these options. Let's run the application from the executable using run application action. That's the flash screen, or called as the splash screen also. So it has opened the application. So when it opens on the accounts tab. The focus is on the accounts tab, and you have certain text boxes over here. So now what we are going to do using Windows actions, Windows application related actions are, at first we'll do a read related operation. Simply we'll read the value of this text box. So since it's a Windows application, I'll go to UI automation type of actions, and I'm not filling any form, I'm not writing anything, I'm reading. So I'll go to the data extraction part, and our text box is a UI element. So I will do a get details of the UI element in window. I will take this action. One of the ways of adding the UI element is from this drop down. I click add element, wait for the picker to be available, and then hover my mouse to wait for the elements to be detected. So here is the edit text box. I do a control left click, window got closed, and we are back to our action. I hover my mouse over the stack of elements. You can see the text box, and we want the text, the own text of the text box, and that will be stored into the attribute value variable. Let's display it and check if the value is correctly read from the text box. Now I'll close the application because we are going to launch it from the flow, and we are now ready to run the flow from the play icon. Execution is still on line number 3. Now it's gone to 4, and there's the message box rightly showing the value of the text box. So this was about read related action. Launching the application is using run application, read operations, and then write operations. So again, when I go to the list of actions for UI automation, data extraction, other read related operations or actions you can explore in the same way. Get selected checkbox, radio button. Perhaps we will do get details of window here, as we have not seen this earlier. So what this does is, whatever window is there inside this window drop down, it will get some details about it. I'll do a add UI element. It will bring the UI element picker, and now I'll hover my mouse over this window because this is what I want to capture. If you can see, it is showing the title bar. That is what I don't want. I will hover it in such a way so that it shows window. Can you see at the top it shows window in red now. Now I will do a control left click, and there are multiple properties that you can fetch about the window title, location size, process name, that is the executable or whatever is the process in the task manager. You can get that, and based on those details you can build your flow further. Right now we will get the window title. And what is the window title? Contoso invoicing is the window title. It displays in the window property variable. Let's utilize this same variable, display message box, by dragging it down, and this time window property is our variable. So get the details of the UI element. For now we don't need that. I'll close the Contoso application and we are ready to run. There's the message box, Contoso invoicing shown over here. Okay, now let's do some write related operations. I disable this because it's used in the display message box. It's throwing an error. So what we will do is in write related operations, we'll do some detailed related operations, some multiple operations we will do in one single flow. So as soon as this application launches, the focus is on the accounts tab. What we will do is we will click on the invoices tab. Then we will go to this new record icon that I'm hovering my mouse over, that button. As soon as I do that, these text boxes will become empty and I will inject some, I will input some values, some dummy values in these text boxes, select some value in the drop down and again click a save button over here, the save changes. As soon as I do that, this 1041 will increment by 1 and a new entry will be added, that is 1042 for that newly added record. That's what we'll go ahead and do. Okay, I'll bring back to the original position. You can do this through the recorder also, but we are doing this through actions. So launching the application, let's go to form filling part because that is the writing part. I'll delete these three so that we can make some space. So our first job is to click the invoices button, invoices tab. So either I can try with a press button in window, or within Windows I have one click UI element in window. Both we have used earlier, but let's make it a UI element because the other one I'm going to show it for the save and the new record buttons. Create a UI element of what? Of invoices. Let's wait for the picker. Let's wait for it to identify the UI elements. Now I hover my mouse over invoices. There it has identified the text. I do a control left click and the window got closed automatically. I hover my mouse and I can see the invoices. I perform a left click. Obviously you have some other options, double click, right click, left mouse button down, middle click and so on. You can explore what this is. Simulate action means it simulates as if specify whether to simulate the move of the mouse cursor over the element and click. So wherever these conventional actions or operations won't work, you have to try it out with toggling this on and off and see which one performs the click. We'll go ahead and save, and then what's our next step? Once we are on the invoices tab, we will now click the new record button. This time I will use the press button in window action. Create a UI element. Okay, I hover my mouse. Now this is the important thing that I wanted to show. If I hover my mouse, it is showing as image. Now if I take it little towards the left, it is showing me as a button, and button is what we want. So I press control mouse click. It didn't register the click. I'll do it once again. So, oh, looks like it registered correctly. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I can see button over here and I can see that button image. So I'm satisfied with it. I'll click on save. Let's do the rest of the operations. So that the background is clean, I'm bringing this browser window so that you can view it properly. Our next step would be the date is, it automatically takes today's date, so no need to enter it. I will directly go to the account text box. This time, if you remember, another way of adding a UI element is from the UI elements pane using this add UI element button. I'm intentionally showing you another way. And I hover my mouse over the text box, control left click. I'm sorry, I went to the date. I wanted the account. So it's a good thing. Can I delete it from here? No. Anyways, I'll go ahead and capture it for the account text box and just ignore the other text box from the UI elements panel. Yeah, edit text box 3, and I even want contact and the amount, and let's keep it for text boxes. Let's do something else for the drop down later. So now I have those UI elements in my UI elements pane. Number 2 was for the date. I don't need it. I'll delete it. Text box 3, I'll rename it for account. I'll give a good naming convention like txt account, text box account. This is for the contact. Rename it to txt contact. Then I have the amount. Okay, good enough. Now we have just created the UI elements. We need to use them in actions. So the action to write something in the text box is populate text field in window, as we already know it. Simply we drag and drop, and because we have given good naming conventions, we will be able to identify them from this drop down. Okay, txt account, select. Account is, let's say, my account. Click save. I simply do a control C, control V of this action. This time instead of account, I want the contact. It's an email address. So some email at example.com. Save it. Again a control C, control V. Drop down. What do we have last? The amount. Click select. I give some random amount of 5,000 and just hover my mouse over here to see whether it's the right text box. By the way, that dollar it is showing, it's done automatically by the Contoso app. I just need to give the amount and it converts into currency and shows the dollar symbol. One thing is remaining, obviously the drop down. So for the drop down, we know the action is set drop down list value. Add a UI element. Combo box, control left click. Okay. So I hover the mouse, I'll show you the options that are here: invoiced, uninvoiced, and paid. By default it was invoiced. Let's make it to paid. So select options by index 0, 1, 2, 3 you can give, or by name. Option name is paid. Okay, we have entered the records. Now what we are going to do is click the save button. Simply save as same as the press button in window. I just do a double check by hovering with the mouse. That was the new record window. I can either do a copy paste of it or press button in window, so that I'll show you how to take care of the identification of element. The one that I'm talking about is when I hover my mouse, if you remember, it shows either an image or a button. So I hover my mouse, wait for it to identify. Yeah, it's an image. I don't want an image. I tilt my mouse little bit to the left and do a control left click when it shows a button. Let me hover my mouse. There is the save and click on save. And let's just to know whether our process is complete, we'll simply add one message box. What the bot is going to do, as soon as this Contoso window is going to open, the application is going to launch. The focus will be on the accounts tab. We are clicking on the invoices tab, then the new record button. Enter the field starting from account, contact, amount, select paid from the drop down, and finally click on save, and there's going to be a new record created over here. I'll close the application. We are ready to run the flow. Run application, yes, it's about to launch. Window is opened. By default, focus is on accounts. The time between two actions is 100, that's why it's taking time. It has clicked on invoice automatically, then the new record. Date is left by default. It has gone into the account text box. My account was our value, contact, amount, select paid from this drop down. By default, dollar is appended. Save button 1042 is added, and I can also see a message box at the back end. Process complete. Good enough. Are you clear with the right related operations? Okay, good. What do we have next? Yeah, this was the direct installation link. I've given the link also in the links.document file, and I've also given the zip file which has got the executable and the MSI installer. You can use any one of them. This is a direct installation link, meaning it will not give you any pop-up, and like it will directly start the installation of the exe. So be watchful about that if you are using that option. So some other key Windows operations. We have seen click UI element in window to click the invoices tab. Let's see focus window and its different options. So focus window is generally required for UI based interaction for keystrokes, mouse clicks. The window that you are working on should have the focus, only then the keystrokes and mouse clicks will be, the keystrokes, especially the send keys, will be proper. It will be written to the correct application, otherwise it will fail. So what we will do is, after launching the application, we will focus the Contoso window, but I'm going to show you in a different way of how we are managing the focus. So focus window is our action to look for after the run application. Okay, by window UI element is one option. Perhaps we have already captured the window element. Did we, or we deleted that action? Okay. So what this does is simply you need to add a UI element of the border, outside border of the Contoso application. When it starts showing window in red, at that time you'll capture it and pass it over here. Since I've already shown you that option, I'll explain the other ones. The window instance or handle. So where does this action get the instance from? I'll close this. There is another action called as get window. Yeah, if you use that, which window, the foreground window, specific window, or the UI element using the outside border, you will capture the UI element. And this automation window is the variable produced that you need to pass in the focus window. That was the second option. So the instance is retrieved from another action and passed it over to focus window action. That is the second drop down value. That is the by by window instance handle option. I'll show you by window title or class. Now, as soon as you pull this drop down, it will show you a list of all the titles that you have opened on your machine. Now we have Contoso invoicing on your machine. You can use that, or you can use a class. You can ignore this if it's not clear based on the drop down values, because the title will work. But the option that I wanted to show you is, because there is a new option called as select window over here. What does it say? Hover the mouse over the window to capture until the frame appears and control left click. So I do a select window. Automatically it has turned my, it is showing me window as the element. I do a control left click. Yeah, even the window class it has captured. I don't need to worry about which window now. I click on save. Now we don't want to see all the other actions, so I'll disable them. The performing of the new record. We'll just keep the, okay, even message box we don't want. Now what I'm going to do is, as soon as we run the application, you have seen automatically the focus goes on the Contoso application. So you won't know whether this action is working fine or not. So I will launch another executable of a different application, and I will bring that to the foreground, calculator application. So now what will happen? Contoso will launch, then calculator will launch, and Contoso will go behind the calculator. And because we are using focus window on the Contoso, that will come in the foreground and calculator will go behind. Clear with the use case? Should I run it before? Should I understand? Okay, good. So we'll close the Contoso application and run it from the beginning. That's the Contoso application. It has gone in the background. Calculator is in the foreground. Now line number 4 should get executed. And let's see what happens. It threw an error. Okay, window was not found, because in such a situations, wherever UI based interaction is there, wait should be used. It was probably so fast. Let's try a small thing, and if that doesn't work, then we'll use a wait. Okay, this is good because we wanted to see wait or related operations for Windows also. So as best practices, when you type in wait, you will see lots of wait related operations. Wait for something to happen. So this is what we want. Wait for a window to appear and then focus on it. This is the right best practice, because the execution was so fast that it finished the action and it didn't focus on the window. So preferably static waits are used less, and wait for images, windows, mouse, these are the actions to be used. So let's do that. So yeah, we have the title, a simple one, Contoso invoicing. We already have it. Wait for window to, it is giving us options to open, to close, to become focused, to lose focus. We want it to open properly. And let's see how it goes. These focus, send keys, mouse strokes, these actions are very sensitive in nature. So they generally don't work in first place. It has opened, it is waiting for that window. However, a calculator app is opened and it's in the foreground. Line number 4 is still waiting for the window. I can see it's the frozen window. Now that window, oh, there it is. It has worked fine this time. Can you see the calculator window has gone and the background? I am not touching my mouse. Are you able to see, guys? Contoso is in the foreground. Okay. And calculator is in the background. So as best practices, we use the wait for something action. That something could be anything. Wait for image, wait for window. All wait related actions are there when you type in wait over here. Okay. What do we have next? So can you see here, wait for window content was also one of the actions. However, we used wait for window. Wait for window content is another thing. Okay, after focus, set window state. Let's disable these two. I don't need the calculator now. Now, state, set window state. Set window state will simply set the state of the window to maximized, minimized, or a restored state. Now, whenever you open a Contoso, can you see it is not in its full maximized state when it opens. Now, using the bot, we will open it by setting this to maximized. It is asking for a window. We have multiple options. We can give the title, uh, or let's say this time, let's capture the window UI element. Yeah, as soon as it shows window at the top, I need to press Control left click. That's the title bar. This is the window. Control left click. Let me hover my mouse. I can see the final window. Maximize. Okay, let's see. I'll close the Contoso so that it will run from the bot. For UI based operations, a maximized window is a good practice. That's why I'm showing it. Run application. Line number 3 is still executing in the background. There it is. Did you guys see the maximizing of the window? Okay, this is the restored state. Now, what do we have next? If window contains, wait for window content. Okay, I'll even disable this now. Now, in the window related operations or actions, where do I see it? Yeah, Windows. So if window contains is what I was talking about. So check if that window contains an element or does not contain an element, or it contains a particular text, or it does not contain any text. These are the 4 options. So imagine what you can do with this action. Uh, what we will do as a scenario here is, if window contains an element, so what, as soon as it opens, it clicks the the focus is by default on the accounts text box, accounts tab, and account name is the text box. Whereas if you go on the invoices tab, there is a different text box called as account, the label and text box. So as soon as this tool opens, we will check in which tab we are on, or whether the accounts text box is present or not by using that action. I'll explain it to you when we build the flow properly. So at first, if window contains element, did we capture for the txt account? That was for the invoices pane. It was not for the accounts pane. So we will capture one UI element now for the accounts text box. Okay, there's the text box. Control left click. I'm simply identifying on which tab I am, whether my desired text box is present or not in that window. That's what I'm going to do. So this is the account name text box of the accounts tab. Save. If my window contains that text box, I will display as what is the label of this account name, whereas the one on the invoices tab is only called as account. So I'll put a message as account name text box. Text box is visible, or the window contains. That would be better because we are using that action. Window contains account name text box. And if it doesn't find that text box on the window, we will simply do a negation of it, that it did not find it. Else I'll do a Control C, Control V. Window does not contain account name text box. I'll click on save. Clear with the requirement before I run the bot. What I'm going to do, close it. Now I'm running the flow from the main run button. In the background, let's watch which line of action gets executed. It's inside the first if. The window contains account name text box because it has found the account name text box and not the other one. Now what we will do, we will go ahead and intentionally click the invoices. Let's see, we already have the invoices UI element. This one, yeah, we have it. Let's make use of it. So click UI element in window. After running the application, by default the focus will go on the accounts tab, but we will click on the invoices tab and intentionally change the focus of the window, focus of the tab. So it will go in the invoices, come here, it will check, it should go in the else this time. Let's check it out. Time to run the flow. Line number 3, click the invoices. Yes, I could see the mouse move. Did you see? Window does not contain the account name text box because it's only the account text box of invoices tab. Clear with the flow and the usage of this action? Before you are interacting with any UI element, when you are moving from one window to another window, sometimes there is a lag, it takes time. So in those cases, what you need to do as best practice is you need to check if the window contains that element. Now, a related action to this is wait for the window content. It's simply the same action, but you have a opportunity to give the wait time. So wait for window content. Can you see? Same operation, same parameters are there. Wait for, until the window contains this element, but this time you have a fail with timeout error. You can give 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you can handle errors. If you think your window application is slow, you can give those many seconds and wait for it to appear and only then interact with that particular UI element, whether it's writing to a text box, clicking a submit button, and so on. That was the wait for window content. Okay, get details of window. I have already shown by getting the title of the window, Contoso invoicing. That was get details of window, and close window. Let's open the window and close it. The actions that we don't need are from 3 till the end. Disable. All other actions are disabled, only line number 1 and 2. Close window. Let's see whether it needs some time or not to launch the application. Do we have the window element? Because we disabled that action, it will not show, but we will give it by title. There it is. Save. I close the window. Let's see whether these two actions happen very fast, or it will give it time to load and then close the window smoothly. I'm now running the flow. Okay, it has closed the window. I don't see it in my taskbar, and the flow is also complete. That concludes our other key Windows operations.